going on, y'all? V-Rob here. Today what we got going on, as you guys can see by the title, I will be breaking down my top 15 NBA players for the 2019-2020 NBA season. This has been one of the most anticipated NBA seasons that I can remember in my lifetime since 2001. There have been so many different moves by players, by teams. It seems like it is an entirely different league. So what I'll be doing, I will be breaking down, in my opinion, factually based evidence proof why these top players are on this list and why they are the top 15 best players in the NBA. This took a lot of time to make, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And without further ado, y'all, no bias, all based on factual evidence. Let's go. And just a side note, y'all, players that are expecting to miss almost the entire season next year for the 2020 NBA season, players such as Kevin Durant will not be on this list. Just a heads up, so y'all don't say, where's Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant will not be listed on this list, just due to the fact because he will be missing the entire season. Starting off at number 15 on our list is the point guard for the Boston Celtics, y'all. It is not Kyrie Irving this year. It is no other than Kemba Walker. Last year with the Charlotte Hornets, it was Kemba Walker's 8th year in the league. He turned 28 years old. That season, he averaged 26 points per game along with 6 assists and 4 rebounds. Shooting-wise, he shot 43% from the field, 36% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line. He was an all-star starter that year for the Eastern Conference, and the Hornets sadly finished with a 39-43 record, meaning he did not make the playoffs with his team. Expectations this year for Kemba Walker, in my opinion, should be an all-star starter, a second-round appearance with the Celtics, and a much more efficient season. As we saw last year with the Charlotte Hornets, he led the entire offense. There was no one else taking a last-second shot besides Kemba Walker unless he got doubled and Jeremy Lamb hits like a half-court shot to beat the Toronto Raptors. But you look at last year and see what he did with the Charlotte Hornets and how much defense is keyed on him, and he still had the best season of his career. 26 a game, 6 assists. For the Celtics this year, I expect them to have somewhere around those type of numbers, maybe 7 assists, maybe around 26, 27 points per game, and I expect a lot of things with him and the Boston Celtics this year. Next up on our list at number 14, this player has been very difficult to rank over the past few seasons because just like Kemba Walker, the team success has not been there with him. But at number 14, from the Western Conference, from the Minnesota Timberwolves, we have no other than the big man, Karl-Anthony Towns. Last season with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Karl-Anthony Towns was in his 4th year in the league. He just turned 23 years old. He finished with 22 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. Shooting-wise, he shot 52% from the field, 40% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line. As a big man, 40% from 3 and 84% from the free throw line are very important numbers today in this league, and it is very hard to find those type of statistics for any other big that's around the height and around the weight of Karl-Anthony Towns. He found himself on a spot in the All-Star squad as an All-Star reserve, and the Minnesota Timberwolves finished with a record of 36-46, meaning they did not make the playoffs. This year, 2020 expectations for Karl-Anthony Towns, I'm expecting 25 points per game. I'm expecting him to be an all-star starter this year and become a better big man defender. We saw last year the Timberwolves all throughout the entire season, all 82 games, they were one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Compared to the season he had in 2017-2018, he definitely has gotten better at interior defense, but he still needs to make it more consistent so his game can evolve and he can be better on both sides of the court. Next up on our list at number 13, I wanted this player on the Lakers so bad last year, but things didn't work out. I still hope he gets traded so we can actually compete for a title or at least compete for the playoffs because the squad he's on right now will not make the playoffs at all, y'all. At number 13, I have a shooting guard from the Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal. Last season with the Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal was in his 7th year in the league. He just turned 25 years old. He averaged 26 points per game along with 6 assists and 5 rebounds. Shot 48% from the field, 35% from 3, and 81% from the free throw line. Looking at these stats, we have to obviously remember that John Wall missed almost the entire season last year, which caused the Wizards to only have a record of 32-50 and not make the playoffs. But on the other hand, it gave Bradley Beal a lot more touches, made him the focal point on the offensive end, and got him to a point where he got career highs in points, rebounds, and assists per game. He found himself on All-Star roster spot just as a reserve. 2020 expectations, I hope Bradley Beal can get traded, yo. I really do hope that. I would love to see him go to a contending team, or at least somewhere where he can compete for a playoff spot and be a second option. Teams I thought of were the Bucks, the Sixers, the Heat, and the Spurs. I think all 4 of those teams could really use a Bradley Beal type player. I think any team could use him, but I think he'd be a great fit at those 4 destinations. Another goal I have for him is average 26, 5, and 5 once again, and just overall just have a chance to compete in the playoffs. I think Bradley Beal has a lot of potential that people don't even know about. I still think he's a very underrated player, and you put him in a good situation, he can shock the world. At number 12, I got nothing but love for this guy right here. Y'all met him back in 2017. Shout out to my boy one time. Nothing but best of luck wishes to you this year, bro. Number 12, we have the point guard for the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving. Last season with the Boston Celtics, it was Kyrie's 8th year in the league. He turned 26 years old in March. He averaged 24 points per game along with 7 assists and 5 rebounds per game. Shot 49% from the field, 40% from 3, and 87% from the free throw line. He found himself as an all-star starter this year in the All-Star game. And the Celtics finished with a 49-33 record, losing to the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games in the second round. So I was upset from a point where I thought Kyrie couldn't find himself a better situation to be in than in Boston. But you look at the players they had too many wing players, too many players that were of the same type of play style, and it just didn't work out. This summer he did sign a 4-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets, and I expect a lot, y'all. 2020 expectations for Kyrie Irving. Nets reach the second round and compete to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. I also want to see Kyrie average 26 points per game along with being a solid playmaker for this team. 26 points per game would be his career high, and I think if you get around 7 assists, that would be a perfect position to put himself in with that Brooklyn Nets team, which it's really the same from last year. Instead, they don't have D'Angelo Russell, and they flip that out with Kyrie Irving and DeAndre Jordan. Besides that, almost everyone else is still there. I expect him to grow some leadership with this new team that he has. He obviously has Kevin Durant there, much more veterans on this squad, and possibly even Carmelo Anthony, the ways the rumors are looking. So I expect a lot from Kyrie this year, y'all, but I still see him improving as a player. I expect him to be a top 10 player in the Coming in at number 11, we have a point guard from the Western Conference. This man was traded in mid-July to the Houston Rockets. Shout out to my boy, the triple-double king, Russell Westbrook. By the way, before we keep moving on this countdown list, I decided to make it a lot shorter for the top 11 players just because I thought the video was going to go on for too long if I kept at this pace. So anyways, let's go to Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, at 30 years old, averaged a triple-double last season with Oklahoma City Thunder. We obviously know what Russell Westbrook brings to the table. I'm really hoping he works on his three-pointer this year. I mean, it has been in the mid to high 20s for the past few years. His career high is 34. If he can somehow get that to around 35+%, that would be such a boost for the Rockets. And I'm expecting a lot of big things this year from Houston. Definitely a top 3 seed, in my opinion, in the Western Conference. Coming in at number 10, putting this man over Russell Westbrook emotionally got to me, y'all. But seeing what happened in the playoffs in the first round of the 2019 NBA playoffs, I had to put this man over Russell Westbrook. We have at number 10 from the Portland Trail Blazers, go stream his new album out now, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, obviously last season, specifically in the playoffs, had one of the best runs I've ever seen from a point guard in the first round against Oklahoma City Thunder, averaging 33, 6, and 4, along with a 50-point performance in Game 5 to send them home. It was one of the best performances I've ever seen in my life, and that game winner literally, it ended the Oklahoma City Thunder as we know it. But before the series, I think it is interesting to remind myself that I always put Russell Westbrook a level above Damian Lillard. And after the series, after what I saw in the playoffs, it just made me realize that Damian Lillard at this point right now is a better overall point guard than Russell Westbrook. Coming in at number 9, this has been someone that I have been disrespecting over the last few NBA seasons. I finally put him in the top 10 on my list for this upcoming NBA season, y'all. Give it up for the man that just got paid this summer. Center from the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. Looking at Nikola Jokic from last season, y'all, seeing that the Denver Nuggets got the number 2 seed in the Western Conference and how young they were, that was their first time ever being in the playoffs in the last 9 years. Signing his huge extension this summer, I expect Nikola Jokic to take this team to the next step and possibly compete for the Western Conference Finals. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to beat teams like the Rockets, the Lakers, or the Clippers, but I think they're stepping in the right direction. Jamal Murray's very young. The whole squad is very young, very talented, and Jokic is doing his steps to get to a top 5 player in the league one day. Coming in at number 8 on my top 15 NBA players for the upcoming NBA season, we have a big man that I freaking love from the Philadelphia 76ers. We have no other than the process, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid in the 76ers last season had a very solid year. Obviously, they lost to Kawhi Leonard in the Raptors in 7 games off a game-winning buzzer beater shot by Kawhi. But going into this season, I think Joel Embiid's going to take another step into the right direction. And I feel for him this offseason, he should be really working on just his stamina and staying healthy. Because I think when he's healthy, when he has the ability to take over a game, he's damn near unstoppable. So you look at it from that perspective. If he can keep a consistent basis, and now he has Al Horford with him. Now he has Josh Richardson. He has so many new offensive talents built around him and Ben Simmons. I think he's going to have a great year and take another step in the right direction. At number 7, I have someone that I am very upset at. Someone that I do not respect their decision of what they did this summer. At number 7, we have from the LA Clippers, Paul George. Last season, I saw Paul George take his offensive and defensive game to another level. Obviously, since his injury, we have not seen the same athletic Paul George, but from a full player standpoint, I think he had his best season last year, the most points per game he's ever had, the career high in rebounding, assists, and steals. Paul George was third on the MVP candidate list last season. I expect this year with the Clippers a lot of the same, somewhere around 26, 27 points a night, and just staying very consistent. Obviously, I am very upset he did go to the Clippers, but obviously he took another step being a top 10 player in this league. He was kind of on the border for the past few years, but I really see him as the 7th best player in the league based off of last season and post-shoulder surgery, what he had in April. At number 6, y'all, yes, I knew you guys were waiting to see where he's going to be ranked on my list. We have at number 6, a 2-time MVP from the Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry. Steph Curry from last season averaging 27 and 5. I expect Steph Curry to have somewhere near his MVP type numbers that he had back in 2015 and 16. Somewhere around 28 points a game. Obviously, his usage rate is going to be at an all-time high. Judging Klay Thompson will be out up until about February. I think him and D'Angelo Russell are going to be interesting, but from a defensive perspective, they're going to have so many problems. But Steph overall, 2-time MVP, 3-time NBA champion. We know what Steph brings to the table, and I expect him to have a great year. I just worry about his health because he is going to have a very high usage rate, especially compared to what he had the last 3 years with Kevin Durant. Coming in at number 5, we have our boy from the Los Angeles Lakers, a big man, a power forward, a possible MVP candidate for this upcoming NBA season. We have number 3, Anthony Davis. Looking at Anthony Davis, he did miss the last 25 games of last season, but I am expecting a huge amount of greatness from Anthony Davis this season. I think he's an early MVP candidate. I think AD paired up with a player like LeBron and the talent that they supported around those two with Danny Green, Quinn Cook, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Rondo, Kyle Kuzma. There are so many different scoring threats on this team. I think you're going to see such a versatile Anthony Davis from a ball handling perspective and all of the above. I expect him to average somewhere around 27, 28 points a night along with 12 rebounds. Expecting greatness, bro. Shout out to AD one time. And I think he's only going to get better and better. Like, y'all have to realize he isn't even in his prime yet. It's crazy, bro. Coming in at number 4 on our top 15 NBA players for this upcoming season, we have a shooting guard from the Houston Rockets. I'm expecting a lot from their backcourt this season. We have a 1-time MVP, league scorer last year, James Harden. Last season, we know what James Harden brings to the table, averaging 35 points a game, y'all. I mean, we go nuts when we see a 35-point performance. He did this for an entire season. This year with Russell Westbrook, I'm expecting a lot from James Harden and the Houston Rockets. I still don't know offensively how it's going to work, who's going to play off the ball the most. Will they do a 50-50? I think their best bet is to have Harden play off the ball, judging he is a much better shooter than Westbrook. But expectations for this team, y'all, I expect them at least a second round. But I'm expecting a lot from Harden. I think he has really worked on his defensive game over the last few years, and he's become just an overall phenomenon, like an amazing talent, one of the best shooting guards of all time. Coming in at number 3, we have the 2019 NBA MVP, led the Bucks to the most wins in the regular season last year, plus the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm expecting a lot of things this year from the Greek Freak. We have from the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo last season averaging 28 and 13. We obviously know what type of player Giannis Antetokounmpo brings to the table, but this year I really want to see what he worked on his game in the offseason. We saw how devastated he was losing in 6 games to the Toronto Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals. I want to see what he did to work on his game this offseason. Did he work on his three-pointer? His three-pointer did look good for a good 6-week stretch between February and March. But can he keep that more consistent? Can he become even a better aggressor towards the paint? I mean, overall, you got to look at Giannis Antetokounmpo and says, besides shooting, what is he bad at? He is one of the top-tier players in almost every single category, whether it's rebounding, passing for his size, defensively, getting shot blocks, getting steals for his size. It's unbelievable what he's become.
Now we know what the top 2 is. We have, of course, from the team in Los Angeles, a small forward for our number 2 spot on the top 15 NBA players for the 2020 NBA season. A 2-time Finals MVP. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have Kawhi Leonard.
The reason why I got Kawhi on my number 2 list for the top players going into this season, y'all, I mean, you just look at what he did in the playoffs last year. One of the greatest all-time performances / playoff runs that we have ever seen in NBA history. We saw what he did in the first round, winning 4 straight against the Magic after being down 0-1, winning a tough 7-game series against Philly, and then winning a hard grind-out series against the Milwaukee Bucks in 6, and then defeating the Golden State Warriors. Despite not being without Kevin Durant, still a very tough opponent. They beat them in 6 games, and he proved why he was the best player on the floor and in the playoffs this year. Overall, I am upset that he did go to the Clippers. Seemed like I was leading the campaign on Twitter and YouTube for Kawhi to come to the Lakers, but I mean, I expect a lot of big things. I think the Clippers and Lakers will meet each other in the Western Conference Finals. And, yeah, I think he's the closest person to LeBron for being the best player in the league right now. It's close, but, I mean, you guys know who number 1 is now. Come on now.
And then at number 1 on our top 15 players for the 2019-2020 NBA season, we have the King making a return this year, showing everyone who is the true king of this league. Number 23 from the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James.
LeBron for the Lakers last season only played 55 games. In those 55 games, he averaged 27, 9, and 8. In my opinion, before LeBron got injured on Christmas Day, it was one of his best seasons so far. Despite that being only about 24 games before he got injured on Christmas, they were making a stride for a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. I think this year, you look at the pieces that they have around LeBron. Anthony Davis, in my opinion, will be his best teammate that he's ever had and their time of their careers. I'm not saying he's a better player than Dwayne Wade, but I'm talking about in the time of their careers. He's just entering his prime right now and is one of the most dominant big men in the league. You look at the shooters that he now has around him, Danny Green, Quinn Cook, KCP. You just look at this roster, and it could be possibly LeBron's best team that he's ever played with before. I am really excited to see what LeBron can do with this team. I think this has been his longest offseason that he has had since 2005. So you judge all of that. He's in phenomenal shape. He's been working every day. I am so excited to see what the King can bring to the table and prove the haters wrong and show them who's on the throne still, because y'all forgot real quick.
And with that, y'all, that will do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new. Thank you so much for working on. Thank you all enough. Put down, in your opinion, the top 5, your top 10, or your top 15 NBA players for this upcoming season. A lot of players that were on the borderline of this top list included players such as Klay Thompson, Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons, a few other notable players, Victor Oladipo. It is so hard to rank the NBA players at this time and age, y'all. When we are at such a competitive state in society, there are so much top-tier talents in every sports league, y'all. This is just my opinion, based off facts, based off evidence, and I got LeBron James as the best player this year going into this season. Comment down if you think it's the best player in the league right now. Like I said, leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new. Thank you guys so much for the support. NBA season is right on the way. Let's get it, let's go. Virov is out this thing. Peace. Oh my god, that took so long to make. That took so long to make, y'all. Oh my god. Let's go on a date now.